Greetings, Shining Bulls and Shining Bears, and welcome to this, the 43rd episode of the CRYPTO Astrology Podcast. Please note that financial astrology, similar to technical analysis, is not 100%. I, Maya Raghavan, am not an influencer. I am not a financial advisor. Rather, I am a financial astrologer, using the planetary positions as data inputs in my analysis of the probable nature of price movements. I do not make your decisions for you. Your decisions are up to you. Shining Bull content is here to stimulate your own thought process as you make your own decisions relating to your own finances for yourself and by yourself. We are going to take a look at what this week holds for Bitcoin and Ether price. Before getting into the day-to-day, regarding this week, here are the most important celestial factors that will be influencing us here on the Earth plane. And get ready, because if you watch this whole podcast, you'll see why this week is quite special and important, really. Anyway, so let's get to this. On Monday morning UTC, Sun enters Purvabhadrapada Nakshatra. I see that this is an important moment where some administrator is taking intense action to forge a surprising path ahead, and it takes Bitcoin and Ether price up. I also see that starting around midday or right after lunchtime Monday UTC, when Venus joins Devguru in Virgo in the Navamsha, something is being sorted out or fine-tuned by certain powerful women in finance, and this relates to setting a new way of doing things that will set a new standard. And this looks positive for Bitcoin. By the way, remember, when I say you need to watch, and if I say up or down, I'm not talking about the intensity of the movement or the gravity of the movement, right? I'm just saying the direction. So understand that. So on Wednesday, late night UTC, Mars enters Dhanishtha Nakshatra, and I see that this as being very good for markets. This might be an interesting moment related to whole crypto market indices, or to the idea of ETFs, which track a large crypto index. So if you're interested in that, look out for that, because I see that kind of concept coming to the forefront once Mars enters Dhanishtha, which begins late night Wednesday UTC. Next, on Thursday, very early morning UTC, Venus and Buddha reach the same degree. Buddha, Mercury, is transiting second from Venus. This is a favorable moment for certain women in finance, being able to accomplish what they have been working on, and it looks promising for crypto, especially for Ether. On Thursday, early morning UTC, Mercury enters Pisces, and then Venus enters Aquarius. Mercury entering Pisces is not so great, but I see that Venus's entrance into Aquarius will be good for markets. In any case, this is an important day where the whole mood shifts. On Friday evening UTC, Saturn enters into Pisces in the Navamsha. I see that initially that is not so good for markets, and then that this quickly sets off a new period where some new outlandish policies may start to be put into effect, which are favorable to Bitcoin especially. Starting Friday night, when Mercury joins Mars in Leo in the Navamsha while transiting Bitcoin's natal Jupiter. You really should watch this whole episode, by the way. I'm going to get more into this in the news item at the end. All right. Please note that the Bitcoin BTC 2024 predictions book is now available on ShiningBull.com. This book gives several turning points per month when Bitcoin price will start moving in a given direction, and is a valuable addition to any swing traders or day traders toolbox. 2. Bitcoin BTC 2024 predictions gives an added edge to investors, fund managers, and anyone interested in Bitcoin as an asset. The new book, ETH BTC 2024 Predictions for the Ratio, is also now available on ShiningBull.com for those of you who trade the ratio. Now let's look more up close at the week ahead. I, the astrologer, live in Newfoundland, but I give the weekly predictions that I make on this podcast as per UTC time. So, traders, I see that a strong range has been established by Mars's and Mercury's respective transits last week between 57,588 USDT and 64,000 USDT for Bitcoin. So 57,588 is a very strong support and 64,000 is a very strong resistance for Bitcoin. For Ether, that range is between 3160 and 352022. Between 3160 and 3522, or between 3288 and 3522. So 3160 and 3522 are very strong supports, and 3522, I don't know what's going on with my mouth and brain today. So, and 3522 is a very strong resistance for Ether. Sunday, March, so now I'm going to get into the closer look at the week, okay? The day by day. Sunday, March 3rd, UTC. And for traders, if you're on my signals, I give more, in the case that we do break above our support or break below, and I give a lot more price points for support and resistance. But as I said, those are really strong lines this week. Okay, so Sunday, March 3rd, UTC. I see that there is a significant downward potential due to Moon's transit in relation to Saturn and Rahu, and due to the general state of Mars. But between noon and the late afternoon UTC, I see that Moon's transit in relation to Sun and to Jupiter creates an important and sudden news item, taking price up. Starting Sunday night UTC and into Monday, March 4th UTC through to Monday night, I see that price moves strongly upwards because of Sun's entrance into Purvabhadrapada Nakshatra, joining Devguru in the D9. Next, on Tuesday, March 5th UTC, I see an emotional drop because of Moon's transit with Mars and Ketu in the Navamsha that lasts until the late morning UTC, when Mercury shifts to Gemini in the Navamsha. Wednesday, March 6th UTC, I see a drop happening in the afternoon that lasts until Wednesday night UTC, due to Moon's transit in relation to Mercury and Mars. Thursday, March 7th UTC, I see as generally up, but I see that a drop happens in the early morning due to Mercury entering into Pisces. Friday, March 8th UTC, I see as generally up because of Moon's transit with Mars, but I see some punctual drops happening in the mid-morning until mid-afternoon UTC, and in the late evening UTC. Saturday, March 9th UTC, I see as up until the evening UTC and then down, both due to Moon's transit with Shanidev. For more details on this, experienced traders can check out the Trading Signals service on ShiningBull.com. Please read the disclaimer in the details section of this video below. So that was the weekly forecast for the week ahead in Bitcoin and Ether price. Next, some news from the past week which will impact the future of crypto and of civilization. In my book, Bitcoin by 2026, I said I predict that the 2024 Bitcoin halving happens on Wednesday, 13th March 2024. On this date, Saturn is aspecting conjunct Moon and Jupiter in Aries from Aquarius, with Bitcoin's Mars Mahadasha having begun just 4 days previous on 9th March 2024. Sun on this date is about to enter Pisces to transit Bitcoin's natal Jupiter. Halving happening on March 13th seems unlikely, as per recent estimates this past week, that halving will happen on April 21st. However, I have been looking into this, and I see that indeed something very powerful relating to Bitcoin supply is indeed going to happen as per the prediction in my book on Wednesday, March 13th. Interestingly, although I did not base the prediction in my book on this at all, I just found out that in the year 2020, preceding the last halving, on Friday, May 1st, when Mars was in the last degrees of Capricorn, suddenly something unusual happened where Bitcoin miners produced 16 blocks in a single hour instead of the typical 6 blocks. Obviously, this made the news, the industry news. At that moment, Mars was at 28 degrees of Capricorn, and Moon was in exact opposition on Bitcoin's natal Mars at the very end of the sign of Cancer. As I just quoted in my book, Bitcoin by 2026, this Saturday, March 9th, Bitcoin begins an entirely new Mahadasha of Mars. This is enormous. This is of enormous importance. It means that Bitcoin starts playing a completely new role. And on Tuesday, March 12th, the day before I had predicted the halving happening in my book, Mars will be at 28 degrees of Capricorn. What I have to say is that this Friday night UTC, this Friday night of this coming week, I see that there is a news item about a leader taking some action in relation to Bitcoin especially. This is because Mercury will be transiting Bitcoin's natal Jupiter and will join Mars in Leo in the Navamsha. You may have noticed that on Saturday, February 24th, I started tweeting saying, we have ETFs in the US coming up in HK, Hong Kong, but now what happens when certain economic alliances start buying Bitcoin with commitment and dedication as reserves or to settle their trades? The ETFs are ETFs, nations are nations. As an astrologer, I saw that a big move was coming up, much bigger than the ETFs, related to national governments buying Bitcoin. I was preparing that week's prediction and I saw this, and that's why I tweeted a little bit prolifically that in the space of just a few minutes. 4 days later, Edward Snowden tweeted, "Prediction. A national government will be revealed this year to have been buying Bitcoin, the modern replacement for monetary gold, without having disclosed that fact publicly." And I asked myself if he had read my book, Bitcoin Countries, available on ShiningBull.com, and which you yourselves might want to take a look at if you have it. Anyway, what I'm getting at is that although there has been a lot of talk about demand shock due to the ETFs, and even though everyone assumed that Coinbase going berserk last Wednesday was because of too much retail demand on their platform, what I'm seeing is that a new factor is at play, and that factor is a national government. This week, I speak more on that in the Mars Crypto podcast, which I put out on Tuesdays, so you can check that out too if interested. Something huge related to Bitcoin supply and demand variables is going to begin this coming Saturday, and it is going to have a very clear effect on Wednesday, March 13th. So that's all for this week, and I will see you next week. Thank you.